Okay, so after that, here Tal goes for queen to f3. His intentions are clear. He wants to castle long side so that he can start pushing these kingside pawns. Okay, so now queen to c7 by black, and you can see here black is also preparing to push queenside pawns. But despite of that, here Tal decides to castle long side. And basically, here Tal is preparing to push e5 so that he can target this rook. So to stop this, bishop to b7 by black. And after that, here Tal decides to go for queen to g3 so that he can get out of this pin. Okay, so now b4, attacking this knight. And here, let's suppose if this knight goes back to, let's suppose on e2, that will be a big mistake because of the move knight to c5, creating more pressure over this e4 pawn. And let's suppose to minimize or reduce this, if white decides to capture this knight by bishop takes f6, bishop takes f6, and since this is attacked, so that's why going to e3. And after that, black will simply castle, and now look at this position. In the next move, black is threatening to push e5, and maybe rook to c8 is also possible, taking full control over this c file. And black also has a passed b pawn, and clearly you can see black is winning. And here you can see Tal sees all of this. So that's why after the move b4, in this position, he finds this crazy move, which is knight to d5. He sacrificed this knight so that he can open this e file for this rook. And you can see this knight is also targeting this queen. But let's suppose, let's suppose instead of taking this knight, if black decides to just bring this queen back, and guys, if this happens, that will be a huge blunder. This is because, firstly, white will capture this bishop on e7 by knight takes e7, and yeah, king takes e7. And now comes the move e5. Okay, uh, targeting this, and let's suppose if black captured this, and guys, now comes this another crazy sacrifice, knight takes c6. Basically, we are doing this to open this d file, and yeah, basically after f takes e6, now comes bishop takes f6 check, g takes f6. And guys, now I just want you all to pause the video and try to find the next move which white can play in this position. Okay, so let me give you a hint. Here, most of you are thinking about giving a check from this g7 square, but the problem with that move is after this check, you can see this king can run through this and this square. So basically, we have to stop this. So yeah, so in this position, the best move for white is to go for bishop to b5. And here, the best move for black is to go for queen to g8 so that he can stop this queen from going to this g7 square. Because if black is not careful and if he decides to capture this bishop, then simply queen to g7 check, king to e8, and after that, rook takes d7 checkmate. And yeah, basically you can see in the next move, this is mate. And yeah, that's all. Okay, so in the actual game, after the move knight to d5, yeah, so after this move, so that's why he decides to capture this knight. Okay, so now here black goes for knight to c5, and here still I can't understand that why he didn't capture this free pawn on d5. Okay, so now in this position here Tal can continue by exchanging this bishop, and then he can go for the move knight to f5, taking benefit of this pinned pawn. But he has some another plans. So basically he decides to capture on d6 first. Okay, guys, so that's an inaccuracy. Instead, the move, yeah, let me go back. Here, the move, basically this pawn to g6 might be the better option. Why? So that he can keep an eye over this h5 square. Because you can see in the future, this queen can anytime give a check. Okay, so you can see, yeah, after this move g5, here, Tal simply captured on g5. And as you can see here, black pins this bishop, but as we all know the personality of Tal, despite of having this pin, he still goes for the move bishop takes e7. He sacrificed his queen. And obviously, yeah, basically here he captured this queen, rook takes g3, and now look at these powerful rooks. And obviously here you can see black cannot capture this bishop due to the threat of this check. So let's suppose if black decides to capture this by queen takes e7, which looks obvious, but after that rook to g8 check, and you can see this can't go there, so the only move is to defend this by queen to f8, rook takes f8, king takes f8, and yup, game over. But in the actual game, after rook takes g3, here black goes for queen to c5. Basically, he is targeting this knight, but Tal simply goes for bishop to f6, and you can see now rook to g8 is mate. So that's why to defend this, here black slides his king, which is the only move. But now rook to f1, and you can see now this discord check, and this is also possible. But after rook to c8, here in this position, the final move by Tal is bishop to d8 check, and in this position black resigned, because you can see after this king moves, and after this king moves to there, simply this is mate. This is your host Bison signing off. Bye bye.